We have the original New York Giant killer, Boston Scott. You're the Giant killer, but you may have to give up that nickname, right? With what's going on with Saquon Barkley. What's up, Boston?
What's up, man? Hey, look, bro. Hey, look, I look at it as divine purpose, man. Hey, just if you see what's going on right now with what he's been able to accomplish, just get the hell out the way. That's all I can say. Just get the hell out the way, you
Man,
know?
that was your thing. You were the New York Giant killer, and here comes Saquon Barkley in year one, just putting a whole new spin on that thing.
Look, man, I've always aspired to be more than just a giant killer. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate the name. I appreciate obviously having production in the league, but just straight up dude's just a killer. Straight in the period. It don't nobody is exempt, you know what I'm saying? It's all inclusive. Anybody can get these problems, bro. So dude's just a killer, bro. You
You
know?
came into the league at the same time as Saquon in 2018. I
Yep.
don't know how well you know him, but as a running back, what makes him so special? Is it the fact that he can just do everything at a high level? Is it the consistency? Is it the agility, the speed? I mean, you tell me, having watched him, having played against him, what makes Saquon Barkley so special?
Obviously, like being able to see him from afar whenever I was in Philly, he was with the Giants. It was always very apparent who the best player on the team for the Giants was. And that's no disrespect to the people that have come through that organization. It's been great players, but it's just always been different, and I think that there's so many different tools that he has at his disposal. From like you said, like the agility, the quickness, the first step, the burst, the explosion, the patience, the top end speed. You know what I mean? And whenever that converges with something like the Philadelphia offensive line, the Great Wall of Philadelphia, it's just I don't even know what to call it, like, because it's not just, Saquon is a superstar. Obviously, he's a generational back. You know what I mean? A lot of people are witnessing something it's an anomaly. You know what I mean? That's not to discredit, what the offensive line is doing, because statistically, this is the best offensive line that I've seen Philadelphia have. The stats are there as well. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that it's like 3.8 yards before contact. You know what I mean? So it's
Right.
like I was looking at some of the stats today, and I'm just like, if Saquon Barkley, right, if whenever he got touched, he just went down. He still would have amassed 1,325 yards on the season, which is crazy. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so I went back and looked at it, and the most that I've had in a season for yards before contact was around 3.1. The most Miles Sanders has had is around 3.4, and that's probably the most. But 3.8 yards before contact is insane. It's insanity. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's nuts. But I mean, it's an attribute to what Jeff Stoutland and his and all offensive line has done. But come on, I mean, Saquon Barkley, he has everything that you want in a running back. You know what I mean? Everything: size, speed, power, patience, and now the experience going into also his seventh year, or this is his seventh year. Like, the experience that comes with understanding defenses, understanding what two gapping defensive schemes are giving you, as opposed to penetrating styles of defense. It's incredible. It's incredible to watch.
Is he stoppable? I mean, can the Chiefs in the Super Bowl stop him, or is he just a guy that is just unstoppable? It's just a matter of maybe managing it.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's mitigation. You know what I mean? You want to just try your best to mitigate the impact that he has on the game. I do think that, saying that we're going to stop Saquon Barkley isn't it's easier said than done, because you're not just stopping Saquon Barkley, you're stopping the entire offensive line. You know what I mean? So we talk back to that yards before contact, right? Like, if he's, what I'm saying, even still, if he's getting to the line of scrimmage and getting stuffed, if he's getting to the line of scrimmage, which is now at 4 yards, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's getting the 4 yards before he gets touched, you still got problems. You know what I mean? So I definitely hope that he continues on pace with what he's been able to do. It's been a historical season for him, and I can't say just how happy I am for him, and just the time that he spent, in the place that he's been, and just stayed humble. I didn't really hear much about him making a fuss, or he could have gone a lot of different ways about his situation and how he was treated, or however it is. And then obviously, from a front office standpoint, like, you get it, but I think that him as well as other backs in the league this year. And it sucks that, Alvin Kamara and the Saints didn't have the season that they wanted, and Christian McCaffrey was out, but we could have had a completely elite year for running backs in general, and it's guys that have actually transitioned and gotten into new systems. So I'm hoping that, this is kind of opened up that opened up the books for the front office a little bit, because I know statistically, whenever it comes to evaluating a running back, it's been very, very just close-minded. You know what I mean? Once this back hits this,
yeah, like the running back has kind of vanished for a handful of years. I mean, look what the Eagles have done over the years, was pass heavy. And now the Eagles run the ball more than any other team in football. I'm sure you're probably going, I wish they were doing that when I was there last year.
And look, I'll say this, man. It took a generational back in order for people to see, or it took a year like this with backs having the production that they've been having, and obviously going into the playoffs or whatever, just seeing the importance of the run game for people to be like, running the ball can work. You know what I mean? But it's just funny. I just chuckle because it's like it took a generational factory-made player having this type of season for coaches around the league to be like, we should run that ball. You know what I mean? But I mean, I think personnel-wise, we've just always had just nasty guys in the trenches that they don't mind having the game on their back like that. That getting that run game going. What you've seen this year is like, even though I haven't even been a part of it, like it's giving me this feeling of just like warm and fuzzy, because I've always known the identity. I've always known, just the mindset and mentality of this team. And I feel like what they've been doing this year in particular has been in like the embodiment of Philadelphia and what it means to be a Philadelphia Eagle. I love to see it, bro. Love to see it.
What is it like running behind this offensive line? I mean, you ran behind these guys for a long time, the majority of them. I mean, the nucleus, minus obviously Jason Kelce, but you were around this offensive line. What is it like as you get fed that ball from Jalen Hurts and you have to make a cut and bam? What is that feeling like running behind these guys?
Well, it's beautiful, man. And here's what I'll say as well. I know the offensive line has been, I'm hoping they get their flowers and they continue to get the attention, but it's a unit. The run game is a unit type thing. So it ain't gonna work unless not only the offensive line, but the tight ends and the receivers. And what I've been seeing this year and years previous as well, AJ, Devontae, all the Dallas, Grant Cox, Jack Stoll, like all them guys, whenever given the opportunity to block, that also takes things to the next level. And that's something that I feel like, they've really taken pride in, and I think that has been a beautiful thing, bro. And so major respect to those guys. Everybody's been just so selfless. Everybody's just been just getting out of their own way. I'm sure that there's been some conversations within the locker room, among the players and coaches. That's the most important thing, that connection. I can see it's there. And that's all I've really ever wanted. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can talk, you can talk all you want as players, you can talk all you want as coaches, whatever, but you got to do it together, man. You got to come together, hold each other accountable, you know what I'm saying, in front of everybody, so the things that you say, you got to stand 10 toes down on it. And I think, what you're seeing is just that coming to life on the field.
Yeah, and earlier this season when things got off to that rough start, especially after what happened last year, that awful finish that you were a part of that just really had to hurt. This year it gets off to a slow start, and there's some conversations and fans are getting upset, and there's critics on Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, and there's a lot of conversations at the bye week. Next thing you know, they come out, they win, 10 in a row. They've won 15 to 16 to get to the Super Bowl. Does Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts get enough credit in your mind? I mean, he was your coach, he was your quarterback. Do those guys get enough credit as leaders of this team?
I think I'm not going to try and single out any sort of media or anything like that, because I think it's just a microcosm in how society is. Society is a lot about, what have you done for me lately? You know what I mean? I think.
Well, but they're still getting criticized in a lot of ways.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, they're in the Super Bowl for second time in 3 years. Like, what else do you want?
Right, right. I think multiple things can be true at one time, right? I do think that Jalen has been unfairly criticized with the inconsistency that there's been as among coordinators. You know what I mean? Like there's been different things. Like each year he's kind of had to, there's been a learning curve. You know what I mean? There hasn't been a whole lot of continuity. Obviously, system wise, schematically, there's some things that are similar, but like going into year one, like for instance, 2021, when Shane Steichen took over the offensive coordinator duties, going from 2021 into 2022, you know what I'm saying? You saw some of the things that he was able to accomplish that year. And I think a big part of that, obviously, yes, he's gaining experience over the years. Jalen Hurts is still young now, but he's also, I think that is really important to have that continuity. And I don't care who you are, I don't care what player you are, how talented you are, when you're in a system with consistently being able to see the same thing over and over and over again, I think that's really important and key. And like I said, like even with Nick as well, like I have a lot of respect for Nick. I think that his technicality and the attention to the details whenever it comes down to coaching things, whatever it may be, what I'm saying? Like obviously he has a receiver background, but that attention to detail applies, he's able to apply that to whatever situation he may be talking about, whether it's football IQ, situational football. Like I have a lot of respect for Nick, and I'm like I said, I'm happy that they've been able to continue to grow together, because that's what it is, it's a process, right? You know what I mean? Like it's being in the Philly media, being in that with the fan base that's very passionate, expects a lot of its team. You know what I mean? Like you gonna have to, you gonna have to get right. But that's just how things are in Philadelphia, man. They want the best. They want the best at all times, and so that's gonna be demanded of all the players, that you work hard. You know what I'm saying? And when you step off of that field, it may not be the best result, but as long as you're working hard, and I think that, like I said, it's been a process. Got a tremendous amount of respect for Nick Sirianni, as well as Jalen. Jalen's one of my great friends, man. He's had me over to the house for crawfish, all that kind of stuff. So, I've always been a big fan of Jalen Hurts before he even stepped foot in the Philadelphia building. So,
what is Jalen Hurts like as a leader? You say he's unfairly criticized, and everything he says, at least publicly, is he doesn't care what you really think of him. He's going to go do his thing. He doesn't care about the stats. Do you think he's authentic with that, and he just doesn't care, and he's just all about the wins, no matter how ugly it may look at times?
Yep, I absolutely think so. I think there hasn't been a time where I've questioned what his motives are outside of winning. You know what I mean? Like he wants to get better every single day, and it started from the time that he wasn't even playing and Carson was still the starter. You know what I mean? Like,
which was he navigated, and I've said this publicly, he's navigated that so well back
right.
then, because that was an awkward, uncomfortable situation. I think really for everybody.
Yeah. And I could just remember like just seeing him, even though he wasn't playing, even though, he might have had like a wildcat package here or there, but he was still taking the time out after practice, going through, the playbook, going through the game plan as though he was playing, and so it's those types of habits that you see early on, from an intangible standpoint, that I feel like that, those are the talent will get you into the league, but those are the types of things that sustain you throughout the league. And so, like I said, for him to have like the inconsistency as far as, coordinators, those relationships, and having to continually meet the standard that has been expected of him, it's been incredible. You know what I mean? And is obviously, it's like, is he perfect? No. You know what I mean? Like obviously each game is different, you know what I mean? But I do believe that what he's been able to do, the stats speak for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, we can sit here and criticize or praise or applaud. At the end of the day, he don't care about that. You know what I'm saying? But whenever it's all said and done, you know what I mean? Because unfortunately, not saying in a literal sense, but people don't really have an appreciation for what people were able to do until it's over. You know what I mean? Until they don't see it anymore and something else comes along. But whenever it's all said and done, you're gonna be able to look back and see just how great, the things that he was able to accomplish. I just, it's very hard to play NFL, play quarterback in the NFL. You know what I mean? And obviously, having the different pieces, having the different erasers, I call them, guys that can just, go above and beyond and just give defensive coordinator fits. Like it's yeah, there's been a lot of good stuff that's been going on, and he's been the captain of the ship. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I think that his poise, his maturity, his consistency, I think it's been really important for the success of this team.
Wilbert Montgomery told me about a month ago that people don't really say this a lot, but Jalen has one of the best deep balls in football, and he's not given enough credit. What he's been able to do with his team. And the same can be said about Nick Sirianni. I mean, I remember so much was made back in his rookie season as a head coach in 2021. He had that whole flower reference during a team meeting right before the Lions game. The team was off to a really slow start, worse than like 22 years. And a lot of people started mocking him, at least, on the outside about, planting the flower and the whole flower analogy. What is Nick like as a leader? And does Nick get enough credit?
Yeah, I think that definitely, like, it's tough to be a head coach in Philly. I'm just gonna be real with you. You know what I'm saying? It's tough to be a head coach. And, obviously, I think that given what he did whenever he first got here and where he's at now, you can obviously see the consistent growth, right? Like, obviously 2023 is what it is. You have times like that, adversity. You can't point those types of things to just one person, but statistically, he's continued to get better. I'm sure as a coach. I'm like I said, I've been with him for 3 years or whatever it is, but he's continued to get better. And like I always say, I really had a lot of respect for the amount of detail that he put into everything that he talked about. And then obviously with the flower thing, like, it's a metaphor, guys. Like, come on, man.
Right.
Like, you never heard a metaphor before. Like, go look in the Bible. All Jesus taught was in meta. You know what I'm saying? Like, but um the people that were in the building understood. The people that were in the building got it. You know what I'm saying? Again, just like I said with Jalen, has he been perfect all the time? No. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody is human, bro. Everybody makes mistakes. I'm sure there are things that he wishes that he could have done better, whatever. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I think that one of the biggest things, and I think I saw BG saying this, is just like he's been staying true to himself while at the same time, not taking that as a reason to be complacent or be an asshole or whatever. Oh, excuse my French, but he just continued to improve himself. He continued to look in the mirror, whatever it is, good, bad, or the ugly. You know what I mean? And I can definitely see that going into this year, that that's something that is important to him. And obviously look at how the players interact with him. You know what I mean? Like, that's a big indicator of what's going on within the locker room. People in the media and what you see on social media is only like it's very minuscule in comparison to what's actually going on inside the building. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I got a lot of respect for him. I wish nothing but the best for him. Because obviously with the best going on for him, the best is going on for a lot of my great friends that I've been able to have the privilege to create relationships with over my time in Philadelphia. So I just wish him nothing but the best, man. At the end of the day, there's no bad blood.
You think they finished the job here? I mean, 2 years ago, you were a big reason why they got to the Super Bowl. You had 2 touchdowns in the playoffs against the Giants and then against the 49ers. Eagles get to face the Chiefs again. Does that loss in the Super Bowl still stick with you? I mean, some guys say that losses like that will stick with them forever. Where are you at with that? Is that still a painful moment, losing that Super Bowl to the Chiefs 2 years ago?
Yeah, man, I definitely think so. I think that there is a lot of pain involved. Like, you can go through the greatest season, you know what I mean? But if you get to the final dance and you don't finish it, it's almost like, well, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, what did we get here for? You know what I mean? So you run the race to win it. You know what I'm saying? You don't run the race for a participation trophy or get him next time, champ.
So you're
You
still not
go.
over it. You're still not over it, right?
I'm be, that's something that you can be a little salty about. But like I said, I'm so happy that these guys are getting the opportunity to go and get this type of rematch in. Does it matter who the opponent is? No, because at the end of the day, like it's been what I've seen from the team, man. It's been a faceless opponent each week. I'm hoping that there's, it's not too high, not too low. They just stay even keel. Don't let the emotions get to them. You know what I'm saying? Because you see, like, whenever your emotions get to you, it can take you out of your game, and that's the last thing you want, especially on the biggest stage. So, I am encouraged. I'm not gonna go out here and say this or that is gonna happen. I just know based on what Nick has put in place and what Howie has put in place and what Mr. Lurie has put in place over the last many years and how they've been able to put together these incredible seasons, man. I know for a fact that locker room is going to be in the right mindset going into this game. So I'm excited to watch.
What is that mindset? I mean, walk me through what it's like to be a player leading up to the Super Bowl, getting ready for this game. Obviously, this group, the nucleus has been there 2 years ago. They lost to this very Chiefs team, but what is it like as a player getting ready for this game this week and, of course, next week?
I think definitely, like, for me to be naive and be like, oh, you stay locked in all the time and you show up ready to, nah, man. I think that you should definitely give yourself time to reflect on everything that's led up to this moment, everything that's led up to this week, all the people that have sacrificed things for you, because you haven't gotten there by yourself. You ain't self-made, you know what I'm saying? Somebody's helped you along the way at some point. You take the time throughout the week leading up to the game, to get all that out of your system, to give it that thought, give it that time, you know what I'm saying? Because when you bottle all that stuff up and just think that it's going to propel you through the game and just allow you to have the best game of your life, you playing with fire, you know what I'm saying? But I would just say, like, give yourself time to reflect and appreciate the things that you've gone through, throughout the season, the ups and the downs, the adversity, the good times, the bad times, the relationships. You let all that stuff, you give yourself time to reflect on all those things. And then, as you're going throughout the week, it's okay to enjoy it. You know what I mean? You don't have to be all, I know, I get it. The job's not done. You know what I'm saying? The job's not finished. You know what I'm saying? So you can be serious about it. You can be locked in. Those things are all fine. But at the end of the day, whenever you reach that, by about Wednesday, you're gonna be ready to just skip all the other stuff and just get to the game. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to give yourself time to reflect, obviously, make sure that you're dialed in on the game plan, you know what I mean? And then there's just got to be, you get a lot of time, honestly, to spend quality time with your teammates, and it's probably going to be an isolated location, whatever, and, whether it be your family coming in or whatever, like, you have fun with it, but, give yourself time. But that'd probably be the biggest thing, because the habits that you've been putting in place, there's nothing that you can really do throughout this week that's gonna change anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, this week is just basically like, a culmination of the habits that you've put into place, the small steps that you've made. Nick would put, I remember a PowerPoint of a mountain, right? And it's like, you're scaling this mountain. You can't necessarily see, you can see the top of it, right? But if you're just sitting there looking at the top of it and you're not looking at what's in front of you, you can miss out on where to put that little hook. You know what I'm saying? You can miss out on where to put your next hand forward. You know what I mean? So, it's just trying your best to stay present, but definitely give yourself time to reflect. And then when it's time to go, it's time to go.
And when that ball kicks off in a Super Bowl, are there jitters? Are you nervous? Are you anxious? What were you going through 2 years ago?
Man,
I mean, Nick was
I don't know,
crying.
man.
I get
Yeah,
it. I mean, Nick cried
yeah,
during the
yeah.
anthem. I get it. You spend your
Yeah,
whole
I mean,
life
you
trying to
do.
get there.
Yeah, and I mean, I would say a lot of people are moved in that type of way, and I want to say it was a guy on the guitar or something, but that boy was playing. I'm not gonna lie to you. So, but nah, you just locked in, man. Like, the way that I was feeling going into that game was, you know, I had a fire in me, but at the same time, I was at peace. You know what I mean? Because I think, again, like, giving the mental part of it what it deserved, I feel like allowed me to really just focus in on the moment. You know what I'm saying? Rather than, at some random point during the game, it's like, dang, I got to do this for my family. Dang, I got to do this for my, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just allowed me to be locked in, you know? And so, like I said, like, and I know that's how a lot of the guys in that locker room feel, but it's like, hey, we locked in. We want to go to war. If you're in front of us, you gotta move out the way. You know what I'm saying? You gotta go.
Why do you like the Eagles in this Super Bowl rematch?
Now, I give a lot of respect to the Chiefs, man. They're a great team. They're great. They're really, really, really well coached, man. They're really well coached. Obviously, they've gone through their fair share of adversity as well. You know, and for a lot of reasons, they shouldn't have the record that they do. You know, but they found a way each week. They've been battle tested. I just think that the pieces that we have on that roster, you know, from top to bottom, it's not enough to win. You know what I mean? But I think that the pieces that we have and you combine that I'm still there, I'm still in Philly, god but the pieces that they have and the mentality that they have, obviously also a great coaching staff, it's all going to come down to the ability to make adjustments and adapt. That's what these games are. You know, it's fun to watch, man. I've gone back and watched just a lot of these games where it's just like a chess match. As you get more experience, you're just kind of seeing the adjustments that can be made here or there, and it's just like it's fun to watch, man. I understand why football is so exciting for so many people, but I'm definitely excited. I'm a Philly guy at heart, so I got to go with my boys, man. But I think it's gonna be a real good game.
Do you still want to play next season? I mean, where are you at with that?
Yeah, I do, man. I think that I still have some in the tank. I think that like I said, I've kind of given myself that time to reflect. Being away from the game for a little bit. Obviously, being able to clap for my homies as they've been able to achieve the things that they've been able to achieve. It hasn't always been the easiest. You know what I mean? Because there's been I've always wanted to stay in Philly, always. My heart has always been in Philly. I've always been loyal to the organization. Like, I have so many relationships and people that I've been able to get to know over the years, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for. So my heart has always been in Philly, always, and it always will be. Um, you know, I would love to come back to Philly in particular, but I definitely want to keep playing. I think there's still, I went back, like I said, like I was saying, I went back and looked at things statistically, and I think that I don't know if there's been a season yet where I've gotten opportunities each game. You know
Right.
what I mean? So, and not to say that that's something that I deserve or that's something that is supposed to happen, but I definitely feel like where I'm at now and what I understand about my body and what I understand about my role and what that could be. I don't necessarily look at myself as if that's something that is asked of me, then sure. But I look at myself as a way to, put a little fun little kink in the game plan, kind of give people a little something else to look at, whether that's it doesn't necessarily have to be me getting the ball in my hands, you know what I mean? Whether it's motions, whether it's just me running routes out of the backfield, me getting in a slide, whatever it is, I just still feel that obviously the production is there. I don't really have to speak much on that, but
Sure.
I haven't gotten a chance to do the new kickoff rule yet.
Not
but
yet.
yeah, but I still think that I have a little bit left in the tank. Like I said, where my body's at right now, I'm actually as fast as I've ever been. I'm actually quicker than I've ever been. Top end speed has been faster than it's ever been. So I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see. My body's feeling the best that it has, and that's been a lot of what has been kind of putting some restrictions on me in the past. So, I look at it as a blessing in disguise. And if I get an opportunity, take it and run with it.
Well, a few more minutes with you here, and I'll let you go. Tell me the work you're doing away from the game. You're doing some esports, and I know you've
Yep.
been doing some work with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, man. So the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation is basically a nonprofit organization that's geared toward bringing more of an awareness to the lack of access to healthcare in underprivileged, underserved communities. And I was able to kind of share a little bit about my story coming from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. There's been a lot of times where a lot of people in the Baton Rouge area actually didn't have access to an emergency room. You know, they didn't have access to a primary health care physician. And I just think that that's one of the things that, you know, people have, obviously the state of, you know, our nation, the state of our country, you know, it is what it is, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I definitely think that if we talk about the things that are most important, you know, and being able to progress and move forward as a people, you know, I think that people need to be healthy, and I think that people need to be fed. You know what I mean? And I think
Right.
that that's a big part in, you know, promoting some of that productivity within our communities. And I think that that starts with, you know, government entities, you know, dedicating resources, allocating resources to those types of things, you know. And so, yeah, man, that's kind of what I've been working with. And then with the esports thing, I'm still a part of Dignitas. Your boy's been, since I've been away from the game for a little bit, you know, I've been trying to elevate my game in other areas, you know. But yeah, I got a car sim. I consider myself a amateur novice driver. I don't know. But no, it's been fun. But yeah, the Dignitas Rocket League team is still going strong. They have a roster in Europe. You know, they're competing right now for the first major, which is basically like, if you know anything about soccer, they have points that they get each event, and those accumulate. And if you get a certain amount of points, or if you're in a certain place in the standings, you get to qualify for a major, which is an in-person event. And this one's going to be at Birmingham, not Alabama, Birmingham. It's in Europe. So they're working towards that. They're looking pretty good. You know, I've been talking to them when I can, but I've just been letting them be locked in because the season just started. So
Sure.
yeah, but it's been a lot of fun, man. Like I said, you know, it hasn't been the easiest of years. I actually got my apartment in Philly actually got robbed.
Oh,
So I ended up losing my NFC Championship ring, and you know, a few other things. So that
when did
was
that
kind of rough.
happen?
Whoo, man. Probably this oh man, things been such a blur this past summer.
I'm sorry to
Uh
hear about that.
in like July, I was okay, man. Those things are, you know, it's about the memories and stuff. You know, those will last forever. You know, and we'll work on it too. But yeah, so that happened. Obviously, getting released from the Rams. You know, having to pack up my Bronco and just drive from LA to Phoenix, and just been getting in time. You know, it's been rough in a lot of ways, but you know, I've been able to take that time to gather information about myself, gather, you know, reflect on the things that I've been able to accomplish up to this point, and then obviously, you know, work on the things and look forward to the things that, you know, I want to accomplish, you know, and the vision that I still have for myself. Is it necessarily going to work out? Maybe, maybe not. But you know what I'm saying? If not, I can just go on Twitter and just be a Philly fan.
Well, we hope you're back with the Eagles, man, and one day get another ring, man. Best of luck. I really appreciate you joining me, Boston Scott. Thanks so much.
Appreciate you, dog.